Coming soon, the Loop and Larry San Diego Comic-Con News and Information Spectacular Podcast Extravaganza. All news, all information, all spectacular, all podcast.
Hey everybody, it's Loop and Larry from Guardians of Geek. This week we're going to be talking about San Diego Comic-Con. So much news!
Oh my gosh, so many franchises were represented in this weekend. There was Star Wars, there was Marvel, there was The Dark Crystal, there was Terminator, there was It. There was just so much news, and we're going to cover it all! Aren't we, Loop? Loop?
Hello? Larry?
Loop?
Larry?
In a world filled with intergalactic space battles, metahuman destruction on a global scale, and psychopathic serial hauntings, there's only one team who can make sense of it all. When your world is overrun with rampant pop culture, call Loop and Larry, Guardians of Geek.
Oh, yeah. We've been blown up 15 times. 15 times we've been blown up, and we have not learned to run from that before it actually happens.
That is like a superpower. We can deflect the explosions.
And we're fine.
Hey everybody, I am Loop.
And I'm Larry.
And this is Guardians of Geek. This is our final episode for this season.
Yep. This is the season finale of season 1.
Yeah, this is our first season. It's not like I wouldn't call it a full season. It's kind of like one of those just part just a sampling.
It's we'll call it an HBO season.
Yeah.
How about that?
It's like The Office when they only had 6 episodes the first season, and then they had a full the next. But because we did start in January, we're taking August off, and then we'll be back in early September and then we're launched on. It's
100%. Season 2.
1,000,000 episodes. I'm going for 100 episodes in season 2.
Okay, you're going to be going alone on that one.
Oh, what happened? Why? So today we are in our final episode. We are talking San Diego Comic-Con. It's a great way to end this season because it's epic.
This is if you're a geek and you like pop culture news, this is your time of year because this is where all the news comes from.
Yeah. And
you don't get any more excited than you do around SDCC time.
And if you've never heard of San Diego Comic-Con, because I don't know why you're even listening to this podcast if you haven't, but it's been around. This is the 50th one this year.
Yes.
And it's been around forever. And it's basically where all the big, the networks and the big movie studios, and they go, and this is where all the big stars show up.
That's right.
You're not talking, you got some B-level stars there, but mostly your A-listers are at this, promoting new shows on Netflix and
all the
Disney
studios
Plus
are there.
and whatever.
Yeah. It's crazy. And it's funny because 50 years ago it started out just as a comic convention, literally buying comics, trading
you
comics.
mean like a Comic-Con?
And a Comic-Con, the actual definition of the word Comic-Con.
Yes.
Yeah. But now it's become this massive pop culture phenomenon. And Loop and I have tried to get tickets and things like that. You actually have to sign up on their website to register to get an email that is a draw to allow you to potentially get on the queue to buy tickets. and it's the most ridiculous thing, but you can only sign up for yourself.
Yeah.
You can't sign up 3 people so you all get the opportunity at once to get your tickets.
Right.
So I signed up and I've won the lottery twice and gotten the email saying you're good to go. You can try to buy tickets.
Yeah.
But I had nobody to go with because nobody else came up. So it's a weird.
It only gives you one ticket? Is that how it works?
Yeah, you get a ticket for yourself. At least that's the way it used to work. I assume it's still
weird.
the same. Yeah. So it was just the most bizarre thing. But even if your number comes up and it gives you the opportunity to get tickets, that's not guaranteeing you're going to get tickets because tickets sell out in
this just gives
90
you the
minutes.
opportunity to buy tickets.
Yes, but tickets sell out so instantly that the chances of you actually getting them are almost none. And then you can't get anywhere to stay in San Diego because
everything's sold out. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on in order to get your tickets. I'm sure the day people get them, the hotels are being called instantaneously.
Seriously, it's the craziest thing. So I don't know if we'll ever get there.
I would say this is the biggest Comic-Con in the world.
There is actually one larger,
yeah.
And I cannot remember the name, but it's in Japan. And it's actually bigger than San Diego Comic-Con, but for whatever reason, San Diego has been the one that all of the announcements are made at. So the other one is
very close to Hollywood too.
That's it.
So because I think they estimated like 135,000 at it. So it's crazy.
It's a big one.
All right, so you ready to get into this news? This is epic. This is epic.
The news.
All right, here we go.
When you need a year's worth of pop culture news, the San Diego Comic-Con has all the news.
Luke and Larry are just the messengers.
And now, the San Diego Comic-Con news.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks. We all of a sudden have a massive audience in our in our podcast studio. I'm not sure where they came from, but I appreciate you all being here. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that launched us right in.
Okay, so let's start with movies, because we're basically going to break this down to movies, TV, and maybe just some extra stuff like other things, but still movies.
So this is like our standard news format, but it's even more epic. So starting right off the top, 3 years running now, San Diego Comic-Con on opening day has had this thing called the Scare Diego. So it's a play on San Diego.
I got it.
Oh, okay. So it's where they talk about upcoming horror movies, and this is, like I said, the third year running. So this year, the panel and the whole discussion was focused around It Chapter 2, which for me is like almost the most exciting thing that happened this whole weekend, because I love it, and I love the first one. I've been on location in Port Hope where they shot the movie.
That's close to where
it's about 3-hour drive from where
I guess it's not close, but I mean close to, depending where you're listening in the world.
Yes. It's about 3-hour drive from where we are.
Yeah.
So I've made the trek twice, and the second time I went, it was right in the middle of shooting. So they were very lax with security, and I was able to actually get onto the streets and see props that they had left on the streets, touch them, and it was such
and quickly arrested.
And now I'm out of prison. So I'm really excited about this. So anyway.
Why do I expect every scene you're just like wandering in the background? Like, it's like, who's that guy in the scene?
And I'm in there so much they can't cut me out. That was my plan the whole time. So they had to hold the whole cast there for this Scare Diego, and they presented 3 scenes to the crowd there, which have not been released publicly. So nobody's actually seen them other than the people who were there. But apparently, first of all, it was moderated by Conan O'Brien.
Yes.
Which is interesting. I thought that was an interesting choice to moderate this. But
yeah, and he, if you watch Conan's show, he was live from there for a couple shows from the Comic-Con, and he had the cast of it on one of those 2 shows.
Yes, yeah.
So he probably did that later in the day or before the panel, or
right, and just continued with it. So they had 3 scenes. One scene in a restaurant where the Losers Club meet up as adults. A scene in a funhouse mirror room, and another scene in the house on Niebold Street. That was, if you saw the movie, it was this scary house where Pennywise lived. So those are the 3 scenes that they screened, and apparently they were phenomenal. The people who I listened to who reviewed these scenes said that they were scary and completely unique and different takes on the story.
Right.
So I don't know whether they've changed Stephen King's book a little bit, or just changed from the miniseries that aired in the 90s, but they were pretty stoked about this whole thing. So I was pretty excited as well.
That sounds cool.
And of course they dropped the new trailer, which is very,
and there's
very
some pieces of the funhouse scene in that, I think, or the mirror scene in the trailer.
That's right, yeah. So they did drop that, and that was the final trailer. There's only going to be 2 apparently.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's big news, and that's coming, I think, September 6th is when that movie comes out.
Yeah.
So not too much longer to wait, but that was pretty exciting for me.
And the one thing I noticed, I was looking at who was in it, because some of the actors I didn't really recognize.
Yeah.
I can't remember what character it was, but he's the old Spice guy. I didn't realize that was him.
Really?
Growing up, yeah, because they showed a picture of him, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the guy. Remember, he's on the horse and everything.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name is off the top of my head.
Mike.
But
what his real name is?
Yeah, what his real name is.
Remember.
But I was like, the guy looked familiar. I couldn't couldn't figure out where he's from. He's from the Old Spice commercials.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, that's cool.
I did not know that. That is cool. He's neat. I like him. So yeah, he's gonna be in it. And then that's a reason enough to go and see it.
Yeah, if you're a big fan of Old Spice.
This movie will not disappoint.
Yeah.
Speaking of movies that probably won't disappoint, we also had a new trailer drop for Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Oh, my wife is very excited about this. She's a big Kevin Smith fan. So it's so funny, though, because it looks like someone shrunk Silent Bob. Because Kevin Smith lost a ton of weight, right? Because he had that heart attack. So I feel like it's almost a passion project because, like, he probably morality set in, right? Like, it's like when you have a heart attack or some major thing like that, he's probably like, let's get this done. Like, so, but yeah, it's him and Jason Mewes. Either that or Jason Mewes needed a job. Sorry,
I think that could be a possibility too.
That could have been a possibility. I need some money, dude. All right, let's make another Jay and Silent Bob. Because this is like the seventh.
Is it really?
Yeah, because it's like Clerks 1 and 2, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and Dogma. Because they're in all of those.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I did not realize that this was a Jay and Silent Bob universe. They do.
It's like, there's a name for the universe too. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, but there's a name for it. But again, all the regulars like Jason Lee and all those guys are all in this as well. So it's
and it's a reboot. So I guess are they ignoring all the other movies?
No, it's called reboot because in the movie someone's trying to make Blunt Man and Chronic, which is their characters. I think they're remaking the movie and they're mad, so they try to go to Hollywood to stop it. Stop the reboot. So that's the plot of the movie.
Okay, so they're not rebooting Jay and Silent Bob.
No, they're trying to stop a reboot from happening.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it is back on the big screens, and so we'll see how far that goes.
Yeah.
What else do we have here? Oh, speaking of trailers that dropped, Top Gun 2, Maverick.
I couldn't be least excited about something.
See, this is so funny because I was most excited after it, of course.
Yes.
I was super excited about this.
I'm like, I liked the first Top Gun. I was never into the first Top Gun. Like I was never like, oh my God, this is the greatest movie of all time. Like I think it's one of those movies that sort of over time people have kind of like attached themselves to, and it's gotten more sort of cult following as it's gone.
Yeah,
I'd have to go back and rewatch it again, but it's.
I think you should.
But this one just looks like a standard action movie. I don't remember how serious the original Top Gun was. I don't.
It was serious.
Yeah,
you're thinking of like Hot Shots.
I probably am. Because Hot Shots probably ruined everything
totally
for me.
Ruined it for you.
I loved Hot Shots.
Yeah, no, Top Gun was actually a serious action movie.
I don't remember that much as far as that goes. I remember it's one of those movies I remember certain scenes. I remember them like playing volleyball. I remember like there's like certain scenes I remember, but I just like as a whole movie I don't.
Okay, the whole thing's about planes, and you remember the one scene where they're playing volleyball.
I just remember that because I remember because everybody was shirtless and it was weird.
Oh, okay.
I remember it was very uncomfortable to watch in the theater.
Right.
But yeah, I just like I saw the trailer. I'm like, it's a lot of plane shots.
It's a lot of plane. But so here's my thing with this one.
And there was no Highway to the Danger Zone, by the way, in that trailer. Disappointing.
Oh, yeah, but you know it's going to be there in some form.
I don't know.
Why?
Because I also watched Conan the second night, and he had him on there, and he asked him, he goes, "Is it in it?" And he avoided the question. And
really?
He almost made it sound like maybe they'll add it in now because everyone's going nuts about this.
Or maybe it's like one of those hidden characters. You know how they have like characters that are returning that they don't put on the poster to make you go, "Is that character coming back?"
Yeah.
Maybe Highway to the Danger Zone is that character who you're like, "No, we can't tell you if it's back or not." And then when it shows up,
and you're watching, and you're like, "Yeah,
Danger Zone."
All right.
But here's my thing with that. And I haven't read this. This is just off the top of my head.
Okay.
But just from the scenes in that trailer, it looks to me like Tom Cruise learned how to fly one of those planes. And the reason I say that is because in the last Mission Impossible movie, he did learn to fly the military helicopter.
Yeah.
And he was flying that himself through the mountains and through the valleys and like doing some stunt flying. So it wouldn't be a far stretch for him to learn how to fly.
I can tell you right now, he did learn to fly those planes.
I nailed it.
You gotta watch Conan. He
Conan needs to watch me.
He said that he's a pilot and he's in those planes. And and then they had a whole discussion about why he does that. And he's like,
really?
He's like surrealism and the.
See, that is very exciting.
See, there you go.
That makes me even more excited.
Go Rogers On Demand and watch that episode. You'll be like, okay,
this is very good. There'll be no like terrible CG of him in a cockpit with
a floating head where the other person's head is. Yeah,
with like, cotton clouds floating by the thing. You don't remember that from the first movie, but it was there.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah, this is pretty exciting. Okay, moving on. Cats.
Ugh. Okay, go on.
There's gonna be a lot of debate in this episode. Okay, so Cats, the Andrew Lloyd Webber Broadway production,
Yes.
is getting like a movie version, and they just launched the trailer. So, but there's some controversy about it because they digitally furred the actors as opposed to like putting them in costumes like they did in the play. So and some people are creeped out by that.
The entire trailer is the creepiest thing I've ever seen. There's a lot of like talented people in it for sure. Like J Hud's in it.
Oh, of course,
you guys love J Hud
and Tay Swift.
And T Swift is in it. But and I McKellen is in it.
I'm McKell.
I'm McKell.
Yeah.
But it's like it's just creepy looking. You know what it looks like to me, and you can tell me if you think this as well.
Okay.
It looks like someone did a face swap with a real cat.
Oh,
because their faces almost look like they're actual like physical faces look like they're almost floating on the bodies.
Really?
Like a tiny bit. Like it just doesn't look right. There's something that's not like.
I only watched the trailer one time. I have to admit, I haven't given that.
I bet I watched it like 5 times.
Really?
Because I couldn't believe how creepy it was. And I kept watching it.
You couldn't not watch it. Huh. Well, that is very. Now I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch this.
Yes.
I was just marveling at the size.
And then
of
I
the
even made my
sets.
own Cats trailer with my cats.
Well, see, this is why I thought you'd be so excited about this because Loop has a lot of cats.
I do. I love a good cat.
He does love it. So I thought this is going to be the movie for Loop. He's going to love that there's cats.
I'll probably end up seeing it, but
Of course
it's
you will. Yeah.
Anyway.
So that is coming, and for better or worse, it'll be there. What else do we have? Another trailer. I'm just going to flip around a little bit. Another trailer dropped for a Brad Pitt movie called Ad Astra. And this is a really strange. I honestly don't know that much about it. And from the trailers that I've seen, the story doesn't seem to be that clear to me. Do you know much about this?
I know. I looked at it, and it's like it doesn't show a lot of plot, which is kind of cool, but it's very stylish. And at first I thought, oh, it's another person stranded in space, like a movie where they're by themselves. But there's more to it. There's a little bit of a mystery to it. And, but it's very cool, like the music and how it's very stylish.
Yeah,
it looks kind of cool.
I think it's good, and I trust Brad Pitt's at a point in his career where I trust the scripts that
he's gonna pick something half decent.
I think he's gonna be okay with this. So that one dropped as well. What else do we have here? So moving away from trailers a little bit. The Terminator franchise dropped a little bit of an announcement that Edward Furlong is going to be reprising his role as John Connor. Why would he do that? I don't know. Maybe because like Jay from Jay and Silent Bob, he just needed some work.
I don't know. Well, there's a controversy about it too because he's got a history of domestic violence.
Yes,
and so by them hiring him, it's kind of like sweeping it under the rug because it's a film that like it's an iconic kind of role, and it's like people overlook this, but apparently that's not been overlooked by many people. So I don't know. I remember I met him Edward Furlong. I was at a Comic-Con, and Jen and I bumped into him. That's my wife. Bumped into him like he was like, I think he'd had a few to drink, just outside that bar.
Oh yes, I do.
And then we talked to him for a couple seconds, and then he took a picture with him, and then we both got on the same elevator, which is even more awkward. You know, you're kind of done the conversation. We're like, okay, we're gonna go next. We don't want to bug him, and then we ended up on the same elevator. It was very awkward.
Did the conversation continue, or were you just like dead silence?
A little bit, like
really?
Kind of bit like I just asked him generic questions about
how do you like the floor you're staying on?
Like it's like just
what button do you want me to push for you?
But because I always thought he was a great actor, but he had I think he got into. I'm just saying this. Well, out loud into drugs and things.
I think he did. Like I think he was in rehab, and he Stardom didn't treat him well. Like he couldn't. Because
he was like basically a kid, like a teenager or whatever, when he was early 20s at least when he was doing those.
But I thought he was a solid actor. Like I really liked him in Terminator 2. I thought he was great.
And so what's it, History X? History X.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that movie was phenomenal. Yeah. And it was like I don't know.
American History X.
Yes, thank you.
I thought he was great. So it'll be very interesting to see. Well, first of all, it'll be interesting to see how much of a role they give him.
Yeah.
Like whether he's a prominent part of this movie or
or
not.
just or just like in a bit part. Or,
yeah, like because he hasn't been in any of the trailers or any of the promotional material yet, so it's not like he's playing a big part in it. But
I liked him. I always thought he was a great actor, and I think I'm excited to see him in this movie.
Yeah, see what he's doing. So that another reason to get me to the theater for that one. not that I needed another reason, but anyway.
Other than their timeline, which is so weird that it doesn't make any sense. But anyways, go on.
And the fact that you and I both kissed Linda Hamilton on the lips.
That is true. I forgot about that too.
Can we bring that up anymore? I think we've mentioned that before.
So weird.
But we did.
And it was the same restaurant that I met Edward Furlong.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So if we haven't talked about this before, and I don't remember if we have or not.
We did talk about it.
Okay, yeah. So
point.
we don't need to go back over it again. No. But yet we wanted to meet her, and she was very excited and came in for a hug and ended up planning one on the lips. Right. So that was pretty exciting. Anyway, moving on. Blumhouse Pictures, moving into the horror genre a little bit, has announced that the Halloween reboot will continue with 2 more installments called Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, which is very intriguing to me. Does that mean literally the Halloween franchise is going to be done, or is it just this particular trilogy? I don't know.
Just this trilogy. I bet it's the Michael Myers sort of trilogy.
Could be.
Would end, and I bet they'll open up with someone else that's gonna sort of take over.
I would think so. It's such an iconic franchise.
They can never close the door on these.
No, they
never.
can't. But it is pretty definite when they say Halloween Ends. There's no question about what's going on here.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be interesting. So they're coming out sort of back-to-back years. The first one, October 16th, 2020, and then October 15th, 2021. So we are getting Halloween movies during Halloween
And that franchise
season.
made over $250 million.
The
first one, first movie. So no wonder they're jumping in on this.
Absolutely.
There's obviously an interest in it. And Michael Myers has a big fan base like that. The Halloween movies do, so it'll be
absolutely. And the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis is back in them, I think that's what is drawing people again.
I liked in that one that she didn't play that character like Jamie Strode. She didn't play her, not Jamie
Laurie
Strode.
Strode. Yeah.
She didn't play her kind of like campy.
No,
I think she did kind of in one of the ones early, but that's when she didn't, and I liked the kind of serious tone it had.
Yeah, yeah. She was a strong female lead and really took command of this.
I feel like this is the biggest movie. Wasn't it the biggest movie with a female lead that the most money ever made for a movie with a female lead? I believe it was.
Was it?
I think it was
sure.
the most money made with a. I'm positive it was at the time.
Yeah, it was. And I thought it was great. I really liked the reboot. I thought it was good.
I thought it was really good. It was solid.
Yeah, so I'm excited that they're continuing with it, and it's interesting that they've given us the titles already because Halloween Ends is a pretty big spoiler.
Yeah, for sure.
It's weird that they did that, but anyway, they have. So that's good. What else do we have? The Russo brothers.
Okay, before I go into this.
Oh.
Battle of the Planets. G-Force. 5 incredible young people with superpowers. And watching over them from Center Neptune, 7 Zark 7.
Good old 7 Zark 7. Coming in when you need them.
That was awesome. I didn't realize you were going to play that.
I saw that, and I'm like, I got to add this soundbite in here.
This is awesome and perfect timing because we're just about to talk about the fact that the Russo brothers, who so expertly dealt with the Avengers in the last, are going to be adapting the Battle of the Planets anime show from the 70s into a live-action movie and potentially directing it too.
Yeah.
This is huge for Loop and I because we were massive
I love that show.
Battle of the Planets
I think I might have mentioned this before, but my favorite cartoons from the 80s were the ones that sort of had continuation to them and almost like that. Even though I'm not into anime now, but it was I like those anime style shows like Voltron and
back in the day like that. Yes. Absolutely. And
Star Blazers, all those.
Yeah. And there were quite a few of them, but Battle of the Planets was different. It somehow stood out.
Yeah.
And it was just so cool. I mean, they had the Fiery Phoenix, their ship that turned into a fireball in the shape of a phoenix. It was so cool.
And it was based on, I think it was it was a Japanese cartoon, Gatchaman or Gatchaman or
something like that.
And so they just redubbed it. I think a lot of it and took out stuff is pretty much what they did, but it was still that concept of standalone episodes yet still have some continuing episodes and some plot things kind of build. So
it was just super cool at the time. I remember playing play acting Battle of the Planets in the playground and in public school, like with my friends. Everybody was so into this show, so I can't even imagine.
Meanwhile, it was just you by yourself thinking you had
probably was
imaginary friends. Everyone's standing around like, what?
Why is he portraying 7 different characters? I didn't know he could do that.
Whose favorite character? Seven Zark 7.
That's so good. Plus, 7 Zark 7 looked exactly like R2-D2, so there was that there's a bit of a tie-in there.
Like a couple different characters. Like.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm so stoked to see what the Russo brothers do with this. I think live action, the costuming is so cool.
Yeah.
And like I said, the ships are so cool. So that's going to be a big one.
Yeah, it'll be neat to see how they would move that to a movie. So
a big screen. So and I'm really hoping they do.
And I'm also hoping that opens up for like a Voltron, and I hope if it does well, like it can open up for a lot of other sort of like 80s sort of cartoons to be brought into the big screen.
I could totally see that. I mean, that's a franchise. There have been 80s cartoons sort of made into movies and that sort of thing, but not like this, like not these sorts of...
Yeah, and they didn't have the special effects before. Now they've proven with Avengers that you can do sort of those space sort of style movies, so I'm sure they can do something with it.
Exactly, and there was enough level of comedy in there with Tiny, the character Tiny, who was kind of goofy, that it could play off the whole Guardians of the Galaxy type.
It was exactly the same as Hunk from Voltron. Kind of like Tinker from Speed Buggy is the same as Shaggy. Like they're kind of the same character. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, you get work where you can, right? So who knows how long...
Once you got a formula, man, you keep that formula.
That's perfect. So that is coming. Keep an eye for that because it's going to be good. What may not be quite as good is for some reason they're making a sequel to what's the Eddie Murphy's Coming to America called Coming to America 2. Yeah. And Arsenio Hall is going to be reprising his role. Did we need to see Arsenio Hall reprise that role?
It's not the same if they don't have the original people coming back. If it's a direct sequel, I think so.
But I mean, when did the first one come out?
Oh, that was neat. I bet early 80s, early 80s to mid 80s.
That is a long time to wait for a sequel.
I don't know why it suddenly got popular in the like on the radars of Hollywood. Like we got to make this.
No idea. I mean, unless like Arsenio Hall pitched it to somebody and said, "Hey, remember that movie we made 30 years ago? Let's make another one." I don't know. It just seems like
I think Eddie Murphy's in it too. I think
is he?
I think so.
It would make sense.
Yeah,
but it just seems like one of those movies that nobody was really clamoring for. And here we go. So that is also coming.
And I think the world has changed a lot. So like that kind of fish out of water concept of someone coming to America for the first time is sort of like I don't know if that's gonna work as well. But we'll see.
It'll be definitely a new take on it. It'll be interesting to see if it takes place now.
Yeah.
So that's something to watch. Now we're moving into one of the big announcements, and there's a lot of this one.
Get ready.
So stay tuned. You might want to buckle up and have a sit down for this because we're moving into the Marvel announcements. And we're just going to start here with this one for the next Thor movie called Thor: Love and...
I'm going to get to that. I'm going to do it in order. I'm going to do these in order as they came out.
I got you. Okay, so I'm going to send it over to Loop here
It's Matt Loop here in the Marvel Control Center.
Sending it over to Matt.
This was a big night because a lot was announced because really we knew nothing about Phase 4 at this point. We suspected some movies would be in it, and we've heard some rumblings of some TV shows, but we didn't really know exactly when they're going to come out and how it was going to work and when this Phase 4 was going to start. Not this year.
Nope.
It's not
Take
happening.
a little breather.
So is it Kevin Feige? Is that how you say his name?
I think that's right.
Yeah,
sounds right.
So he's in charge of Marvel and everything that's Marvel. So he announced, I think, like about 10 projects for Marvel, up to 12 or something. Somewhere in there.
It was at least
a ton.
20.
So let's jump into these.
Yep.
All right. So November 6th, 2020, which is next year, the Eternals.
Yep.
So Eternals is one of those groups that, like, I'm a Marvel Comics fan, and I've been reading it for a long time. They weren't a big part of the Marvel universe. Like they had their own series for a while, but really, I think I looked it up. The last actual series that they were in, like their own title, was 2006.
Wow.
And then before that, it was 2000, and before that was 85. So they haven't really used the Eternals a lot. They kind of show up every once in a while in other comics, but like they were never like I'd say C to D level characters in Marvel.
Wow.
I would say.
Okay.
Like they just no one really cared about them.
Apparently.
Now, mind you, no one cared that much about Guardians of the Galaxy at first either.
That's right.
And then
or Iron Man for that matter.
Yeah, like Guardians changed the whole team at one point from the old team that I knew in the 80s, and they kind of recreated them to the team that you know now. But so this will be interesting. But Marvel knows how to make a movie, so I'm sure they're not going into this not knowing what they're doing.
No.
And they got a great cast in this, and it should be pretty cool. So
yes.
I'll give it the benefit of the doubt.
I'm on board. I just don't know anything about it.
Yeah, but the Eternals are sort of like they're like the evolution of man, but they're almost like gods. They're immortal. Oh, and so Thanos is actually an Eternal.
Oh, really?
Like so, it's and the Celestials made them. It's very complicated.
Yes.
And the Celestials sort of watch over everything in the universe. They made them to protect Earth. Okay. And then there's also the Deviants who are kind of their enemies. So it's like. Wow. Yeah, it's gonna be
going on there.
Yeah, it's gonna be kind of complicated. So we'll see how that actually translates to film. But we'll see. February 12th, 2021, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which we had heard about. Another like
no idea.
I give him maybe a C level, like in Marvel Universe to be. Iron Fist was more of the master of martial arts that we all kind of knew,
right?
But they do sort of use. Shang-Chi, who's the master of Kung Fu in the 70s. That used to be the name of the comic.
Right.
So he was actually been used like more recently, and but he was. So anyways, he's got his series coming out, and Simu Liu, I think his name is. He's for the lead. He's one of the leads from Kim's Convenience. Yes. He's the lead of. He's Canadian, so he's in this, which is going to be really cool.
That's really
Awkwafina also in it.
Okay. Yep.
You know Awkwafina. She's so she's in it as well.
Awkwafina sounds like a superhero name unto itself.
Yeah, it does. And she's pretty funny, so she's in it as well. So you know it'll be good.
Yeah.
His powers, just so if you never know who this guy is, he's a master of all kung fu and karate and every single like type of martial arts, and he's also can do self-duplication.
Oh,
so he can duplicate himself.
Cool.
So he can be fighting like 10 of them, like, right? So that'll be kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's neat. So he's got a little Doctor Strange in him.
A little bit, a tiny bit. So, and then May 7th, 2021, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
I'm so excited about this one.
Benedict Cumberbatch, of course, and Scarlet Witch is going to play a bigger role in this as well. Yeah. So I feel like there's going to be more sort of magic users from the Marvel Universe in it.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping Shaman's going to be in it from Alpha Flight. That's what I'm hoping on. Because in his comic, he had sort of formed this group, like with Brother Voodoo and other people that can use magic to fight things. So I feel like that could happen in this. But
excellent. And they've announced that this is actually a horror movie.
Yeah, it's like a horror. It's a horror like sort of themed.
Yeah.
Like so that's gonna be really cool.
That will be very interesting.
I enjoyed the first Doctor Strange.
I loved that one.
It was very, very cool, and it had like. It was like a mind bend, right?
Yes.
Like all the things that were going on there visually,
and so different from any of the others. Like
from everything else.
That was one of my favorites. So I'm excited about this one.
And here's your movie, November 5th, 2021, Thor. In Thor: Love and Thunder.
That's right.
Yes.
And what's so special about this movie?
Natalie Portman's going to be back
as
Thor.
Yes.
So in the comic, Thor is that character. I can't remember her character's name is in the movie. It's escaping me.
Jane
Foster.
Thank you.
So she becomes Thor in the comic as well, but she also has cancer. Oh. But when she becomes Thor, she becomes like
immortal.
Her cancer's gone, but she kind of jumps. But now she's free from cancer, just so you know.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah. So anyway, she's in this as well. So it's funny because Natalie Portman kind of like. She was a big fan of the Marvel Universe after she'd done the first couple movies.
Well,
but
wasn't there a falling out? Wasn't that why she was not in Endgame? Because she appeared in Endgame, but it was footage from like before. Yeah. Like they didn't shoot anything new.
But she did voice something for it, like an off-camera sort of line.
Okay.
But apparently that's all patched up and she's good to go.
Obviously, they're giving her a big role.
Well, yeah, when you have a much bigger role, of course they're going to show up.
Yeah.
May 1st, 2020, Black Widow, which is a prequel.
Right.
It takes between Civil War and Infinity War.
Oh, okay.
So that's where it sort of fits in.
Okay, so she's still part of the Avengers. It's just not a story.
But it's a whole separate, her own thing going on, like separate story.
Gotcha.
And then they also announced that Blade is going to be coming back,
which
is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I will not. That guy's name is like it's. I'm gonna attempt
Mahershala Ali.
Yeah,
yes.
got it. Okay. So he's the lead in it, and apparently he approached them and said, "I would love to do Blade," and they said, "Okay, let's." Throw her in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's gonna be cool. And then sort of on the side, they also mentioned, oh yeah, and by the way, those are the big like mentions where they actually kind of had dates for them.
Yeah.
Blade doesn't have a date quite yet, but they also mentioned Black Panther 2, and then Captain Marvel 2, Guardians 3, which we all knew those were kind of coming. Oh, Fantastic Four's thrown in there.
By the way,
by the way, and I'm like, what? No one has been able to do Fantastic Four right. I feel like Marvel will do it right.
I hope so.
Because they know what people like, and they know what the fans like, and so they're going to probably do it. And they can do the Thing properly because they'll be able to do them like the Hulk.
Yes.
Like with CGI. And I think it's going to be cool.
Well, and the thing is that the Fantastic Four are great characters.
Yeah.
Like, they're really good characters.
They're the first family of Marvel.
It's just so unfortunate that nobody's been able to get it right because they are really cool characters.
But it's just that it's like there's the tone in those first movies that they did, I thought they had the tone right.
Right.
It's just that the special effects weren't there.
No, they weren't.
And Doctor Doom was too clean looking. Like they need to Doctor Doom's got to be in this. I feel like
sure.
I'm just gonna make this prediction that Doctor Doom possibly could be the big baddie for this entire thing, and I feel like Galactus could play a major role in this.
I feel like
in this phase.
Yeah, I'm on the side of Galactus. I feel like that whole space alien kind of terror, terrorizing the universe is something that's worked for them.
Yeah.
And I think that Galactus is even bigger than Thanos.
Yeah.
So I feel like that would be...
I don't know which one of these movies, but I had heard that Silver Surfer might be in one of these, and I can't remember which one it was that I had heard that as a rumor.
Oh, really? Well, wouldn't he be in the Fantastic Four?
No, it was like one of the other ones. It could be the Doctor Strange one, but I can't remember which one I'd heard that, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Well, if he's in it, doesn't that automatically...
It might have been in the Thor one, possibly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But doesn't he work with Galactus? Like,
he's Galactus' herald, so he sends him out to kind of scout new worlds for him to devour. So.
Right. Okay. Well, then I'm on side Galactus.
But if they're throwing Silver Surfer in there, that means that Galactus can only follow, right? Like,
right.
So it's... Yeah,
he's coming.
So good, so much. So I'm gonna take us from movies to TV. I'm just gonna do this transition.
Let's do it.
All right. So because Marvel had a lot of TV ones, and
that's
we'll
right.
move into
this. We'll segue straight into more Marvel.
This is almost as long as the actual panel. All right. So Marvel TV, Disney Plus, everything's on there because Disney Plus is the place to be. That launches November 12th.
Yep.
So fall 2020, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and if you've seen Endgame, we already did a full review of it. The Falcon is the new Captain America. Whether that's going to carry into this series, I don't know. But this definitely takes place after Endgame because they didn't even know each other really before that. So, spring 2021, WandaVision, which is a horrible name. That's a terrible name.
It really is.
Because it's not like anything else. Like this Vision and Scarlet Witch. That's what the name of the comic originally was. Just call it that. That's weird.
It sounds like a 1970s talk show.
Yeah.
Welcome to WandaVision.
Or like something at like Disney World that was like something new, space age in like the 1970s.
Yes.
It's all presented in WandaVision. So Paul Bettany, of course, Elizabeth Olsen back for that. Yeah. And then the other character added in is Monica Rambeau, who's the grown-up daughter of I can't remember what her first name was in Captain Marvel, but Captain Marvel's best friend.
Yes.
It's her grown up. In the comics, she was Captain Marvel in the comics.
Okay.
She can turn herself into any sort of energy, like any type of energy. So, and then I think she's now like Photon or Spectrum. I think she's Spectrum now in the comics. So that's kind of cool that she'll be grown up and ready to fight.
Excellent.
And the spring 2021 Loki, Tom Hiddleston. Is it Hiddleston? Hiddleston? One of those two. You know Loki. Loki's back.
Loki. We'll just call him Loki.
And this is not a prequel, apparently.
Not a prequel?
Not a prequel.
How are they going to do that?
Well, because he always can like have versions of himself that may or may not be real. And someone said he was in Endgame or in some part in Endgame.
Really?
Yeah, and he had taken one of the stones or something, so I don't remember.
Interesting. Okay.
So, summer 2021, What If? That's the animated series, which I'm interested in seeing. Apparently, some of the main people will be voicing like their characters in this.
Yeah.
So that could be kind of interesting. And then fall 2021 will be Hawkeye, which I'm kind of excited about. I've never been a big fan of the Jeremy Renner version of Hawkeye, but because the Hawkeye in the comics more like a Joker kind of guy, but Jeremy Renner's played him a little bit.
Not like that.
He's played him more of the Ultimate Marvel Universe style of Hawkeye, which is a different one.
Yeah.
When you get into the multiverses, Lawrence, you'll know that.
I'm not there yet.
Yeah, you're not quite there yet. And then Kate Bishop, who is the female version of Hawkeye, is going to be in this, and he's going to be training her apparently. So. Which could lead to a Young Avengers movie or series.
Or series, anyway.
Yeah, which is cool.
Interesting.
But that's a lot of Marvel.
That is a lot of Marvel.
And that doesn't include anything like that's just like the Marvel Studios stuff. That doesn't include like Venom 2s and your all that stuff. So
so here's what I find really interesting about this. I feel like all of the series that are going to appear on Disney Plus are going to be essential viewing if you want to keep the story straight.
Yes.
Like they're actually going to be blended in with what we see in the big screen. Yeah. Which means that Disney is essentially forcing us to all buy Disney Plus.
Yes.
If you want it, because you can't get it anywhere else.
That's way too much stuff that I have to watch.
Of course.
We talked about, we had a whole thing on Disney Plus, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah. There's so much there. And you have to, just because of the way they've structured the Marvel universe, you have to see everything. Yeah. Like if you miss a movie, like up to this point, if you missed a movie, you'd miss like an end credit scene that is important or something in there. Every movie was linked. Yeah. So of course all of these TV shows will be too. So now they're going to make the bazillions of dollars they're making in the theater with all these movies, and every person who goes to see these movies in the theater also has to pay the $7 or $8 a month to get Disney Plus. It's unbelievable. Like
I'll be curious to see how long these series are, if they're going to go.
Well, that's
because if they learned anything from the Netflix series, I wouldn't go 13 episodes on them. I'd do like an 8 episode arc or a 10 at most.
Well, and because there are so many of them, I can't imagine they could go much longer than that, because people you'll burn out.
Like, that's too much.
You know what I mean? It's the same thing that happened.
I'd personally rather see them around 8.
Yeah,
8 episodes, even 6 to 8, even because they can tell a great story in 6 to 8 episodes and walk away.
I mean, that's still 6 hours to tell one story.
I still haven't watched all the Netflix ones. I'm kind of on the last season of all of them. Yeah. So I just thought I should watch the rest of those just to finish them off, because I've already put so much time into them.
That's right.
But 13 was too much.
It is, and I mean, if they look at the way the DC universe worked, the Arrowverse. Yeah. They launched so many like Gotham, or well, not Gotham, but Arrow and Flash and Supergirl, and they just
Black Lightning.
They just did so many that I think people
Legends of Tomorrow.
Yes, I think people just started going, okay, this is too much.
That's why I stopped watching them. It was just too many. Like I couldn't because they all start crossing over, and I'm like, I can't watch this many like.
Yeah, so I feel like they probably, I'm sure that
non-budgeted superhero movie.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure that Marvel has probably looked at that and said we can't follow that formula. So I'm hoping that they're short, so that we can barrel through them and binge watch like 6 episodes all at once, and it'll be so exciting.
Plus, they got decent stars in these too, so they probably have them for like a limited amount of time.
That's right. And it is Disney, of course, so they do have bigger budgets than anybody else. So.
What else is happening on TV?
Ooh, so much more. We're not done yet.
We're now on hour 2.
Exactly. The Clone Wars revival was teased by creator Dave Filoni. So Clone Wars, Star Wars Clone Wars, the TV series that came out years ago, is being revamped, not rebooted, but adding a season 8, I believe.
Did they just add a season, or is that coming up still? Or is that the same season?
No, they have. They had it's same season.
Okay.
They actually announced it last year.
Yes.
But they were teasing it this year.
Okay.
And so one of the thoughts is that it's going to be about the Siege of Mandalore, which is how the series ended in Season 7, the Siege of Mandalore, and they think that it may start up there, which would be very interesting, because at the same time Disney Plus is launching with The Mandalorian.
Right.
So it sounds to me like there may be a bit of a crossover between Season 8 of Clone Wars and the new Mandalorian show.
Does The Mandalorian take place after the Star Wars movies, or
I don't know that.
Okay,
I'm not sure.
I hope they don't go back and put it in between stuff. Like I'd rather.
I don't talk about this.
I'd rather the series be moving forward than like going back all the time.
I agree, but I don't even know if it'll have any reference to the movies. Like it may take place
in a whole separate, like far enough away that. It's like,
So, but there may be some crossover there. So that's happened. What else happened on TV? Oh, so we've talked about the streaming service Shudder on a few occasions, and it's the all horror streaming service. So they have lots of horror movies and horror original programming, and we've also talked about their show Creepshow.
Yep.
Which they are going to be launching, I believe, in September.
Yeah, September.
September. Yep. It's the one that it's from Greg Nicotero, who is one of the creators of Walking Dead. One of the executive producers of Walking Dead. He's one of the creators of this show, and it's based on the movies, the Stephen King movies that came out. Well, they just launched a trailer for it, and this trailer, if you like the horror genre, this trailer will be your new favorite thing.
It's pretty cool.
Did you get a chance?
I did watch it.
I thought it was fantastic.
My first note on it.
Yes. Oh, you've got notes.
Yeah, I got those notes.
Okay.
My first thing I noticed was it looked like a lot of real special effects, not physical, like CGI, like physical, like puppetry and things like, which I really liked, like, because I know some people think it's kind of cheesy looking sometimes, but it just there's a bit more of a realism sometimes to it, even if it does have a slight cheese to it, but it's. I
agree. I felt like that too. It felt almost like 80s horror movie, horror movies where there wasn't any CG.
I was like, this looks pretty cool. And they actually jumped a couple times in the trailer. Like, it was some good cutting in that. Like, it looked pretty neat.
I'm really excited about this. It's 6 episodes long, 2 stories per episode. So there'll be a total of 12 episodes through this first season of this. So if you get a chance to watch the trailer for Creepshow, you should see it because it's pretty amazing what they're doing. So, along with the sort of this horror, well, it's not really horror genre. This is not horror genre at all. This is more fantasy.
Yeah.
But The Witcher, based on the novels of the same name, I believe.
Which I've never read, but
I haven't either. But anyway,
I've heard of them, but I've never read.
But The Witcher is coming to Netflix, and that's not new. But they did drop a trailer for it. And this thing looks really cool to me.
I thought it looked good. Like, I thought it looked kind of cool. I love the fantasy genre.
Yes.
So that's it, like, I was like, oh, there's elves in it. As soon as I heard the word elves, I was like, I'm in.
Yep.
Boom, I'm in.
That's right. Well, it looks like a combination of like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. And I've actually read that this is sort of the new Game of Thrones. Like they're calling it like that, sort of detailed, and
it looks a little more fantasy. Like, I mean, it's definitely more fantasy, but than Game of Thrones was. But it like maybe a little less of the Game of Thrones drama and a little more of the
the Lord of the Rings look.
Yeah.
But it should be really good. So that is a Netflix show. It's starring Henry Cavill, who played Superman. Yep. So he's starring in this, and so that's pretty exciting. So there's a lot of really cool genre TV coming, which is always exciting. And then one of my most excited moments was the panel discussing the Dark Crystal, and I've talked about this before, how big a fan of the Dark Crystal I am. So it's been known that this new Dark Crystal show is coming out called Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, but they've finally launched a full trailer as well as a behind the scenes trailer. Yeah. And it has everything a Dark Crystal fan could want. It has returning characters from the original movie. It looks exactly the same, and all of the characters and all of the sets and things are all hand designed.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool. I watched that behind the scenes. It looked neat.
The puppets are all handmade. It's all puppets. It's not CG. I'm sure that there is some CG to augment the puppets, but or the backgrounds
to add cat hair to them. Yes,
exactly. but it's all real, and it looks like the movie. Like, it looks like a continuation of this movie, and it just looks absolutely amazing. And I could not be more excited. August 30th. I will be. Nobody call me, because I will be. I will be binging this entire series in one 10-hour swoop.
I have to go back and watch the Dark Crystal, because I remember when it was out originally, I watched that thing a ton of times. Like, I love the Dark Crystal. Yeah. But like, it was just one of those movies that I loved, and then I just never really, because I don't remember it really coming out on video to buy for a long time. Yeah. And so I just never really watched it again. So I have to go back and revisit it, because it's been a while.
You certainly do, because and I feel like you'll probably need to. Although this is a prequel, so you don't necessarily need to see the movie first, but I think it will help
character-wise.
Yes, because a lot of the characters from the movie are in this, so it'll just give you some frame reference. But it just looks, so if you can check out that trailer, it is out there now too. The Orville, which is a show that I quite enjoy. I think it's great. It is moving off of network TV and onto Hulu for its season 3, which is very interesting. So I'm not sure. For Canadians, I'm not sure exactly where we're going to get this show. Yeah, but I think
some of the Canadian networks still carry some of those shows, even when they move networks or whatever.
They do. So somebody will pick it up. I'm just not sure who, and I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly why that's happening.
It's funny that's not on Fox. Like, I'm wondering why did Fox just drop it, or did they?
Well. So because
Fox owns
Disney owns Fox.
What doesn't Disney own? Okay,
that's
this makes 100% sense.
So since Disney bought
together.
Fox, and I believe Disney owns Hulu.
They do.
Yes. So there you go. So now Disney's just decided to move it to one of their streaming services again to get you to pay for the streaming services so you can finish.
I wonder if the Orville will like get a little like dirtier. You know what I mean? Because it's not on network TV.
Yeah, I can see that. And I mean, first of all, it's Seth MacFarlane who has a penchant for being dirty anyway. Yeah. So he's really restrained himself on this show. So I think you might be right. This might give him the opportunity.
Imagine Family Guy on a network like that. Oh, man.
Or it's more like a dirty Star Trek. But so that's happening. But it's also not coming out until late 2020.
Okay.
So we're talking about almost a year and a half that it's going to be off the air, which for a network show is unusual.
Yeah.
Like you don't see that much time pass between seasons. So hopefully I don't know if they're rebooting it or what they're doing, but it's coming back. It's just maybe a little harder to find for us here. Speaking of Star Trek, the Picard trailer dropped during Comic-Con. I'm not a huge Star Trek fan. I enjoy Star Trek. I'm more of a fan of the original, the 60s, like the Spock and the James T. Kirk. I really like those. So I didn't really watch much Star Trek after that. This I'm 100% in.
Yeah,
I will watch this.
The trailer looks really cool. My brother-in-law and my wife were huge fans of that series.
Yeah,
and they were like freaking out watching the trailer. So I know it was really good because they were like big fans of the Picard series. I can't remember what was that? That was I want to say Deep Space Nine, but it wasn't.
No, it was
Next Generation.
Yes.
Yeah. So they were like. TNG as they like to call it.
Yes, that's right.
That's why I can't remember the name of it because it was called TNG.
Yeah.
But anyways, they were freaking over this trailer. But apparently there's other Star Trek people that are going to be appearing in it other than because 7 of 9 shows up in it.
And Data.
Data's like broken, but
he actually appears at the end.
Does he? I didn't see him at the end.
Trailer. Right at the end of the trailer, Brent Spiner?
Yeah,
actually appears.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Speaks.
Okay,
yeah.
So, but I know I read that some like Riker's going to be in it, and
really?
Deanna Troy's going to be in it as well. Like because they've already announced. They said like now we can talk about it. Like So that's happening. So if you're a Star Trek fan, it's going to be cool. I kind of liking the new Star Trek universe. I haven't watched season 2 of the newer Star Trek, the Discovery one. Yep. But season 1 was phenomenal. Well, I loved it.
And I did. I only got about 4 or 5 episodes in. I didn't stop because I didn't like it. But I really enjoyed it too. Like I like what they're doing with this. So
it's much more epic.
Yes.
Like, it's got a more epic feel than the old Star Treks.
But
still it carries some of that like goofiness of some of the like like a few goofy characters and stuff, which kind of brings it like. Adds a bit of humor to it, but it's I liked it. Yeah,
I think it's and this just looks. It's got a lot of heart and a lot of memories from the past. I think it's going to be great. So I'm 100% in on that.
That was definitely a highlight of that of what's come out so far trailer wise. Anyways,
yeah, that was a big one. Westworld season 3 trailer was released. Now I have not watched this because I did not finish season 2. I'm in the process of I'm only about 4 episodes away from finishing season 2. So I don't want to spoil anything for myself.
Okay. Well, I won't spoil season 2.
All I know is that there are going to be Nazis in it.
Well, there's some scenes that take place in which I feel like is another part of that park.
Okay.
But that which doesn't spoil anything because the park has different
Shogun.
Yeah, it has different sections and things.
Right.
But it's hard to describe it if you haven't seen season 2.
Yes.
But it looks like it's more like they're out of the park. It looks like in this season.
That's what. Yeah. It sounds like the hosts are more in the real world now. And one thing that they did say is that this season is going to be less cryptic. Like every other season has been like. What are they searching for? What is the maze? What are they? This one's going to be much more straightforward, I think.
Because the second season was like a lot of timelines kind of going on at the same time. Like they could be at parallel timelines, and that was never 100% explained in it.
Yeah.
Because there's a few timelines that just sort of disappeared like out of the show, and I was like, what happened to that timeline? Like, so it was very odd.
Yeah.
I thought the second season was a little messy, but that was just my opinion. But the third looks pretty cool.
Yeah. I will as soon as I finish season 2, I'll be watching the trailer for season 3.
but I love the concept of Westworld, and I love the look of it, and I love the first 2 seasons were good. Like the first season I loved. Second season was just a little convoluted for me, but it was still good.
I agree. As far as I've gotten for season 2, it's not quite what season 1 was, but I'm still in. Like I'm not jumping ship
not
on
out
this
yet.
one. Nope, not yet. Finally for TV, The Watchmen on HBO. The trailer dropped for The Watchmen. Do you know you know The Watchmen?
Yeah, I've seen the movie.
Oh, okay, so you saw the movie.
I think I might have even read the comic.
I've read the book. I watched the movie. I loved the movie, the Zack Snyder movie. I thought it was fantastic.
I'm gonna have to go again. I have to go back and rewatch that. It's been a while since I've seen it.
To me, I feel like that was like an underrated superhero movie.
Yeah,
it was so well done. I thought it is really exciting, and I loved the book as well. So this, I think, looks amazing, and it's expanded the whole universe. So I don't know whether they're following the storyline from the book. It doesn't necessarily
was there more books than the
No, I think there was just the one.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there was just the one. So this is beyond going beyond that.
I feel like this from what I heard, this takes place like years later after the events of that first book.
Yeah.
So
and I don't even know if any of the characters or all of the characters. I think Dr. Manhattan's still in it, but I'm not sure if anybody else is.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be very exciting, and it's HBO, which means that they can push the limits. On this one. So I think
it looks interesting, anyways.
Yeah. I think again with all of this genre programming, it's so cool. Like I think it's for geeks like us.
Well, it's a great time to be alive.
It really is. Absolutely. There's no question. This is like TV.
I would take any of these shows, even like the worst of the worst and movies over like some of the crap that's on TV. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
seriously.
Like your CSIs and stuff, which are great shows if you like police procedurals. But I need something more. I love a fantasy based sort of show.
We like the escapism. Like to watch our TV and just like be taken someplace else, be transported to another world.
Already I'm like just like sort of like looking at all this and counting the hours of watching, and it's like I'm already overwhelmed.
I know.
Like a lot of this I want to watch, and I'm like, oh my god, like,
how are we gonna do that?
And I still haven't even finished watching half the stuff I already like.
Dope.
Like there's movies I haven't even watched. Like I haven't even watched Us yet. Like
what?
When do I have time?
Well,
like,
exactly. That's
I'm a busy guy.
Larry,
I'm out and around. I'm out in the town, man. I'm like doing things.
Well, you're gonna have to stop all that.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of stuff you need to watch. All right, just a couple more here that fall into the other category.
Yes,
that are still pretty exciting. Some stragglers, but they're both Star Wars related.
Yeah.
The Star Wars Black Series. This is a series of action figures that Hasbro has released for a few years now that are highly detailed. I think they're 7-inch. They're 6 or 7. They're a little bit larger than normal action figures, but they're highly detailed and articulated, and they're really nice collectibles.
And awesome packaging on them. And
really
you know me,
packaging.
I love a good packaging.
Really,
I've bought things I don't even need because it has good packaging. So.
It's very true. Very slick packaging. So they just announced at San Diego Comic-Con that the Black Series is going to be releasing a Boba Fett helmet. And this is apparently the most screen accurate helmet that they've ever released. So it's made of plastic. It's life size. It has an LED rangefinder heads-up display, so you can pull down the thing, and it's
cool.
LED and it lights up. The interior is padded. It's adjustable, so it'll fit your head and mine.
Yeah.
And it is retailing for $119, and it's up for pre-sale for a 2020 release.
That's actually not that bad.
It's really not.
Because isn't there like a Stormtrooper helmet?
They currently have a Stormtrooper. They've got a Darth Vader. I think there might be
a Jar Jar Binks. Okay,
No.
A what?
No.
How? Why?
We talked about quality here.
Sorry. Yeah, you're right.
So they do have so this is falling in line with those other helmets. But the images of this helmet, if you got to look it up because it looks like. This is the Boba Fett helmet that's been through every battle that he's.
It sounds cool.
It's so cool. It's amazing. So that's pretty exciting. You'll make your way.
If you get that and get one of those costumes from like Party City
yes.
of Boba Fett, oh man, you're gonna be rocking it.
100%.
The helmet looks awesome. The rest of the costume not so much.
Just don't look below the neck. So that is coming, and finally we have with the. Imminent release of Star Wars Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker, we have a limited run comic book series called Rise of Kylo Ren. This actually comes out after Episode 9, but it tells the story of the Knights of Ren, which is interesting because they came up in Force Awakens, and people were talking about them. Who are they? But they were never really addressed. So we never really found out what they were or what they are. But apparently, this limited run miniseries will give you the history of the Knights of Ren and how Kylo Ren became part of them, or how he created them, how he's involved with them somehow.
Yeah.
But there's also speculation that they may actually be playing a role in Episode 9 because the series is coming out after Episode 9. So it's quite possible that we will get more information about the Knights of Ren in Episode 9.
Yeah. I've noticed a trend in comics lately where they put like characters start showing up in comics that end up suddenly being in the movies.
Yes.
Like they've kind of like insert them in, and then so that you're already you're familiar with them by the time they get to the, because I know Shang-Chi's been showing up lately, and I'm like, I should be noticing that okay, that person's going to end up being in a movie of some sort. That's how they get your attention as a comic fan, and then all of a sudden, they're in a movie suddenly.
Yeah, and I already know a little bit about them.
So it sounds like a little bit like that's what this is about.
Exactly. So I'm pretty excited about that. And there is actually this wasn't released there, but there will be another limited run comic series about the events between The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. So there's a limited run comic series that's going to come out, I think, in November or October, before that sort of bridges the gap between the two.
That's cool.
So they're doing that too. So
that's excellent.
Comics are the place to go to get your in-between knowledge.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And today in the Pop Capacitor, we're going to look at all the Lord of the Rings movies in depth.
The extended versions.
Yeah, so we have another 4 hours coming, ladies and gentlemen, of that. No, that's it. We're just doing that. All we can handle is this in the show.
This is it. This is even almost too much for us.
Yeah, it was a good solid show. It's a lot of information, but it's like cool to like basically dive into it and be ready for it when it comes out, right?
Well,
exactly. Now I'm so excited about so many things, and San Diego Comic-Con is the place, man.
It sets you up for like the next year.
As soon as you know it's coming up, you're like, okay, what trailers are going to come out? And you're just waiting like to see what they release. Like it's just crazy the amount of material that comes out of that place. But
so much fun. And I mean, and just being able to, because we couldn't actually go there, just to be able to like be on our phones all weekend and be like, oh, there's another announcement made. Oh, look at this one. Oh, this panel's happening at 3:00. I gotta be on my phone to catch the
I was at an anniversary party on the Saturday night when they had the Star Wars panel, and my brother-in-law and I are
the Marvel panel.
The Marvel panel. I'm like, we get like, oh, look at this. We're we're not even paying attention to what's going on. We're just like literally looking at our phones, watching these announcements come in. Like, it was nuts.
It is.
And I gotta say, some of those logos are pretty sick. For those shows too, like that really Marvel did. Like the designers are A1. So I'm like really looking forward to it. So that's our last episode for this season.
First season 1 is wrapped.
Season 2 will start early September for sure.
Yep.
Probably after we go to Fan Expo.
Yes. So our plan is to end season 1 with Comic-Con information, start season 2 with Canadian Comic-Con information. That's how this is. That's how this is going to go.
Not a lot of announcements at the Canadian one.
Not as many, but there'll be announcements about what Loop and I did there.
Yeah, that'll be sure. So be looking for our social. We'll still be posting on social media.
Yep.
And of course, you can always get a hold of us on social media if you have any suggestions for the show or anything you want to hear us talk about, or any guests you might want us to get a hold of, like Harrison Ford. We'll see if we can get him. I'm sure he'll be available.
He's on the list.
What's our Instagrams and our socials and our it's Loop and Larry something.
Yeah,
that was so bad.
Why did you spring that on me?
I thought you knew it all. I'm like,
just go to loopandlarry.ca.
Yeah,
that's where you'll find all the podcasts and our information is there.
We know so much about. But if you go to even if you go to Google Loop and Larry, which isn't our name, we're one of the top.
You'll find us.
You'll find us for sure, and definitely go to Podbean and
everywhere you download
iTunes and just download this thing.
That's right.
Go to past episodes,
and don't forget to go to YouTube to catch all of our promos.
Oh yes, we have a YouTube. This has happened since.
That's right, YouTube. So if you want to go back and revisit the ridiculous promos that we've created over the last season, they're all there, and that's where also we'll be posting more video content from Comic-Cons that we attend and that sort of thing.
San Diego should have like the trailers for our trailers.
Yes.
I think it's like we should be cutting those. It's
I feel like that's
teaser
probably
trailers for our trailers for our episodes.
That's season 2 content.
Yeah, that's season 2. But we'll try to change some things up in season 2 a little bit, and we'll keep basically our same. If there's any movies or anything, I just want to throw this in because it's our last episode. Any movies or any TV shows you want us to review for our Pop Capacitor, please tweet us, send us a message, go on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. So until September, I'm Loop.
And I'm Larry.
And we are Guardians of Geek. We'll see you next time.
Produced by Matthew C. Loop and Lawrence Simner. A Loop and Larry production.
Bueller.
He likes it. Hey, Mikey.
Bueller.
Bad news. The fog is getting thicker.
And Leon's getting larger.
Inconceivable. Brian's right. It's an elf.
Wax on.
Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Wax off.